Alright, gotta think of an accent. What accent do I wanna do?
What accent do you wanna do?
You should do that Pikachu accent, bro.
Mhm. Pikachu accent. You just come into the podcast. Pika, pika, piki, pika, paka, Pikachu, choo, 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 Pikachu. They're like,
And they'll
"You
be like,
intro us?"
I've been waiting for
Oh,
this
I
episode.
said everything.
Squatter,
You put
squatter.
subtitles.
That'll be the whole thing.
It's like,
You, like, read, like, I
yeah.
was gonna say at the end of, like, the Pikachu, like, intro, you just, like, read, like, a quick synopsis of everything I said. "Welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast. This is the episode that we go over."
Side effects may include. Welcome to A for No, B for Charmander.
I can't. People are gonna be so confused and be like, "This is supposed to be a Zelda podcast. Why are there Pokemon?"
All right, we'll have to do Tingle accent then.
Mm.
Oh god.
Gosh.
Scoop-a-la-poo.
I mean, he's in the game.
Or do a Goron accent.
Welcome to Welcome to the A for No BFS podcast. This is the Zelda themed podcast where we go chapter by chapter through the legend of Zelda and just like take it all in, bruh. Last episode, we went through the Cave of Winds or the Fortress of Winds or like something winds and got this radical ocarina and lets us like travel with this bird. We get to go places. And then this episode, I actually got a job at the library, and I'm the newest librarian at the library. And there's like all these books you gotta return. It's like, why can't these people just bring them to the library? But anyway, I'm here joined with my co-host as always.
I'm Ryan Fonzie, and I am a history of masks.
Yo, it's me, Cameron. I'm half Judge Schmode, but all stiz.
All steez. Oh my goodness.
You
Be careful
know,
not to wear your steez out, bro. You don't want to let
good
go of that
catch,
stuff.
bro.
Righteous.
Other people be eyeing my stiz.
Goodness. You remind me
Oh,
of
they'll
totally
take it.
Kyle on that whole
Yeah.
intro, though. I thought you were going to break into a story about a spider.
I mean,
Whoa.
I tried a little bit with the librarians, but I didn't wanna go too hard.
Gotcha. Yo, this part of the game we are venturing into, just to start off, I guess I'll say this is another town story run-up episode. We are not covering any dungeons this week. But this is a side quest-a-thon if you wanted it to be. If not, I mean, it's still kind of a ridiculous bundle of tangents. So, I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. I got stuck a couple times. But I guess overall thoughts, how are you guys feeling after this week's session?
I can put it into 2 words. Another one?
Okay. Sure.
Mm.
I
I
brought
guess
book
I can
after
also put
book
it into
back.
2 words.
Yeah.
Mine was, "Oh, no,"
Why?
because I
Oh
I
gosh.
did all the stuff. I did all the stuff. Like, Kinstone fusions, I talked to, like, NPCs, I went to, like, Lake Hylia, went to Lon Lon Ranch,
Oh yeah.
I went to some caves, like, I mean, I did some stuff, and
Right.
then I put it down for a bit, this was, like, last week at some time, and I saved it,
Oh
and then I,
no.
like, loaded back onto my ROM, and for some reason, my ROM, like, overwrote the save file with, like, a Pokemon save file on my phone. And I
Yikes.
don't like, maybe I fell asleep with, like, the file open or something, so, like, I was back at the exit of, like, Cave of Winds, and I had to do everything over. Luckily, I didn't do the main quest stuff, but yeah, I just kind of, like, didn't do the side quests again. So, like, I did them,
Got
but in
you.
a different universe.
but
Mhm.
but that was the alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Not the save file.
Yikes.
Yeah, and it was, like, Pokemon Unbound, and I'm like, I haven't even opened that in forever, so I'm like, I don't know how this got written
Yeah.
over. I'm like, back.
You know, growing up when we had all the time in the world, if you forgot to save or ended up like, I don't know, game crashing or whatever, um, and you had to start back, sometimes, I would replay things, but I would do it better and I would get better scores or like I would find more consumables and sometimes it ended up being okay where I was like, you know what? I'm okay that I played that section of the game twice. Now that I'm an adult, I don't want to play nothing twice. I'm like,
Nah.
could I redo it? Yeah, but now I'm more picky about like what was actually worth my time. And we're just gonna scratch anything that wasn't and just try to mainline the things I remember that I actually liked. Definitely a different attitude. Uh, but yeah, I mean that just has to do with how much time I have on my hands too. Um, so I'm sorry that happened to you. I guess long story short, I mean that's rough.
There's always
Always hate
something.
losing progress, man. Even when I was
Yeah.
younger, especially when it was like an hour plus. Ugh.
Oh yeah, no, it always hurts at first, and I just know there were enough times where I built up a pattern of the first few times it's just like, oh no, I have to redo everything, and then I realized like doing it the second time you do it a lot faster and you do a lot better. And so I remember there came a point where I was like, if I lost progress on something, I'd be like, you know what, we can do it better this time. But yeah, that probably
Yeah.
wasn't like my whole career of gaming.
I might try to rego, like, it was only, like, probably, like, 30 to 40 minutes of gameplay of, like, side stuff, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like I was, did a whole dungeon in Rogue Galaxy and forgot to save, then my PS2 just, the power went out or something. Like, that would've been horrible.
Grind for 5 hours. Power shuts off.
Did I ever tell you guys about the time when I lost my whole save on Pokemon Yellow? And by whole save, I mean
The
like,
whole thing.
listen, that game came out in what, like 98? 1998, maybe?
Mhm.
So I was maybe 6, 7 years old. I didn't know what the terms that the PC used were, like for deposit and withdrawal. Like I knew what deposit was, but I didn't know what withdrawal was. So I tried to release my Pikachu from the PC because I accidentally put him in there.
Oh,
And then
Mhm.
Pikachu was just gone. And keep in mind, I mean, I was only in like Pewter City. I wasn't super far, but as a kid that young, I spent a considerable amount of that first day playing that game. Like it was the day I got it, and that's about as far as I'd gotten after like a few hours at least of gameplay. And then made that critical mistake, and let me tell you, I learned how the PC worked after that. But I also restarted my save. There were tears. It was so bad.
I feel that.
Sounds about right.
And every time you use the PC, the game auto saves in those games. So it was like it's not even like I could just turn it off and have it back. It was like, nope, this is final. You're done. I was like, oh no.
You just got cooked by the PC.
Oh goodness.
Bill's got you.
Right? Got nuzlocked by a PC, man.
The Pikachu probably
It
fainted at
was
least
Bill
once
in
up
that
to that
game,
point.
wasn't it?
It was Bill, yeah.
Yeah, it was Bill's PC.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill didn't realize I was just a child who'd never been to a bank.
Release my funds from me. Cursed key bank. Release my funds.
Exactly.
Immediately.
It's like, all right, goodbye, funds. Like, wait, where are you letting them go?
Open the window, they fly out like birds. No!
Oh, gosh. So that's irrelevant to what we're talking about today. But
Still great.
yeah, just a
We have to have
just
our
a
own
core
tangents
memory.
for the episode about a bunch of tangents, right?
Yeah, I guess we do, don't we? So I know we made mention of it, but I mean, I guess I'd rather start with side quests, I think. Like if there's anything special that stuck out to you guys, before we get to the actual critical path here. Because I'll just say it. I spent a lot of time doing side quests before I even figured out what the critical path was. I mean, the game definitely tells you to check out Lake Hylia, but let me just say that what was hidden in plain sight, I did not realize at first. So I spent a lot of time searching and trying to find any helpful NPC, and that did not happen. So I ended up just doing a bunch of kinstone stuff in the meantime before I got to the critical path. So what kind of side
Yeah.
quest did you guys come across, I guess, is where I'll start. Because I feel like I probably did the most, but I don't know that for sure.
Well, I'll start with the one that kind of stuck out to me. This was during my playthrough of the first 30 minutes of doing the sides when I had no clue what I was supposed to do critical path wise, like yourself, until I realized what critical path was. Um, I went into a house and there was like these three ladies just standing there. And I was like, that's kind of like the Triforce colors, like, wind, power.
Power, courage, and wisdom.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
Din was power, Ferora's courage, Nehru's wisdom.
Yep. And they're in this house just chilling. Like, it could very well just be that Din, Nehru, and Faror are not the goddesses in this game, in the sense that, like, these are just three random women that so happen to have their names. But it could also be looked at as, like, just be the goddesses, like, chilling in human form
Are they old?
just for no reason, like, wanting to, like, I mean, they're pixels, dude, I don't know.
The Golden
Probably
Girls.
the 30s, maybe?
They're not.
Golden the golden goddesses.
They're not golden in the game. Cam, did you run into these characters?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I actually have a bit to share about these. So
Mm.
they are named Nehru, Din, and Ferrara. Did you do anything with them, Mayo? Like,
I
did you actually
fused
fuse them?
with
Okay,
Faror, and when you fuse with Faror, it does, like, this little cutscene, and you see, like, a house,
yeah,
and then you see, the dude from the Majora's Mask. Is it Gordon?
Gorman with an M. Gorman.
Gorman? Gah, Gorman.
Yeah,
This dude, he's like, Ingo in Ocarina of Time. He's just the worst. Worst guy. But yeah, he comes
yeah.
up and he's like, "Oh, this house is just kinda sitting here. Hmm, I wonder if I can just rent it out to someone for a price and be the lousiest landlord ever." I mean, he didn't actually say that part, but he does want to rent the house out for a price, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
is his mission now.
Is that as far as
I
you
could just
got?
picture him as a landlord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as far as I got. I didn't actually go to him because then I figured out right after that on my map, where I was supposed to actually go
Gotcha.
for
Okay.
the whole 30 minutes, and then my save got corrupted.
So this is kind of cool. So Gorman does start renting out the house, and by networking between him, like you go and talk to him, and he's like, "Oh, I need a tenant. If you find somebody, let me know." You can go back and you can choose one of the goddesses to live in that house. And by goddesses, I
Mm.
think in this game they're referred to more as oracles. The game doesn't actually tell you who they are; they just give you their names, right? They're tenants, right? That's what they are. But the reason I say oracles is because it's actually a reference back to the Oracle's games, Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages. Because in those games, or in the development of those games, originally they were going to have 3 separate games, one for each of the oracles, one for Din, one for Nehru, one for Ferora, or Feyror, however you want to pronounce it. I don't remember how they do it in the games because there's no voice acting this early on. And eventually the third game ended up getting scrapped. So I believe it was Ferora who never actually got her own game. So this first house, like the 2 houses that are in the game, actually have the colors of the 2 goddesses, like on the their roofs are colored the same way as the 2 goddesses that did have their own game. But whenever I do this, I always give Ferora the first house, just because I'm like, she's the one most closely related to Link. So that's just me. That's just my preference. And then usually the second house goes to Nehru. But that's the thing. There's only 2 houses that you can get after you get for, like one of the goddesses into the first house. There's like another side mission where you can get the builders and Gorman to coordinate on a second house for another one of the goddesses. But there is no third house. So basically, development stops short of the third one. So that's kind of like it's the fact that this is a Capcom Zelda game, and the previous, like the Oracle games, were also Capcom games. So it's almost like they're poking fun at themselves a little bit with that one.
Mm.
And it's just like it's just a very elaborate callback to their previous games. Because in this game, they just seems like three ladies who need homes. They're not actually important to the story at all. Otherwise, like if you get one into a house, you can get their emblem. Like it's something that they give you that they put into a bottle if you have it. And I haven't actually used the emblem. I don't know if it's just if you carry it, it gives you some kind of buff, or if you have to use it to get the buff.
Is it like a
Let me
rinse and
actually.
repeat where if you use it, you can come back to her and then get another one?
I believe so. Let me see
Or is it a
if I
one and
can.
done?
Let me see if I
Because
can.
if it's a one and done, I'll be holding on to that forever.
It might be called a charm. Yeah, Ferora's charm. Let's see. Like, this is just an example of how this works. Increasing Link's strength and defense. After fusing Kinstone piece with Ferora, Gorman will arrive at Hyrule. Blah 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 blah. Get out of this vacant house. She will offer to fill one of his empty bottles with Ferora's charm. Ferora's charm turns Link's tunic purple and increases attack and defense. However, the increase is lesser than those obtained from Din's charm and Nehru's charm. So I guess she's like the least powerful of them, which is strange.
She's the one that
Ah.
didn't get her own game.
Yeah.
I think Ages was blue and Seasons was red, right? So with age comes wisdom, and with seasoning comes a warrior.
Yeah. I wonder if Din does attack and Nehru does defense, and then Ferora does a combination of the two, and that's why it's not as powerful.
And one's red and one's
Balance.
blue. They combine to become purple. Otherwise, it would just be
Yeah.
green, and he's already green.
That makes sense. That's what it looks like it does. Yeah, so you use it. It doesn't say how long it lasts, so maybe it's a permanent effect if you use it. But
Yo, that'd be sweet.
I haven't used it in my game, so I don't actually know.
I could go for a red, blue, or a purple tunic, honestly.
Well, I'll test it out and I'll let you know what happens by next episode.
Yo.
Um,
Becomes Link Windu, one with the Force, balanced in power, wisdom, and courage.
And
nice.
hates snakes.
Yeah, terrified of ropes.
Doesn't like
We do
snakes.
not like ropes.
It's critical to just know that he doesn't like snakes.
I mean, to be fair, they are the worst in this game.
They're quite annoying. They're very persistent.
Yeah. Have you guys fought any golden snakes yet?
The what?
Golden snakes.
Excuse me, say what now?
So, one of the fantastic kinstone effects that can happen is that you fuse a kinstone with an NPC, and instead of getting a new doorway to a treasure chest that has some kind of reward, they'll put a golden enemy on the field, usually a snake. Sometimes it's an octorok, sometimes it's like one of those rock crab things or whatever, but usually it's a snake. And the golden snake moves a lot faster and takes a lot more hits to defeat. And when you do defeat it, you get like 100 rupees or something. So it's cool. It's just another way to reward you for doing kinstone fusions, but that's how you end up fighting a golden snake. Had a couple of those so far.
Glad I could avoid them, to be honest.
Yeah. If I said I had a moment where I got to play Ghostbusters for a minute, would either of y'all know what I was talking about?
I could venture a guess or two, but no.
No. Okay.
No, to be honest, I kind of found the critical path immediately.
Oh, did you?
Hello.
Yeah, I didn't really do any side quests.
All right.
I mean, not to get too deep into it, I started out going, all right, I think I have to go to Lake Hylia, and I just got this ocarina, so I used it. I saw there was a point at the lake, and I went to it, and, well, you know.
All right. So I'm getting the feeling like you guys aren't going super side quest heavy. So I'm
Hello?
just going to start naming some stuff that happens. I'll give you the Spark Notes version.
Well, if you did you guys do the Kaku game at all?
I did not do the
I
Cuckoo
did,
game.
yes.
I actually really... I've done
I
it
kind of
in
forgot
my
I did it.
previous playthrough, and it got to a point where it was extremely difficult, and so I stopped trying.
Oh, you can do it again?
Yeah.
I didn't even mean to do it once. I just kind
Yeah.
of talked to her, and she's like, "My cuckoo's help me." I'm like, all right. And I grabbed two, and I got a reward, and I'm like, all right, bye.
Nice.
So
Yeah, it
like
escalates. It
there's
gets
a
crazy.
lot of rounds.
Oh,
There is a lot of rounds, and it just gets difficult with the placement of where the cuckoos are that she asks you to bring back. But like I was just cranking them out. I got like 700 rupees. And then eventually she starts nailing out kinstones. So she gives you like a few kinstones, and then she gives you like some more rupees, and then there is a item which I hold on. Yeah, no, we didn't talk about this item yet. We get it this episode, I think. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
There's an item you get that you need to complete the last part, which I guess we could talk about when we get there. But then you get a pink piece of heart once you actually complete that. But yeah, I got like 700 rupees from this game, and I was
Wow.
poor before this. I had like 30 rupees to my name, so it was great. But it did take a while. That was like the only thing I did side quest
Gotcha.
wise, almost besides the
the goddesses, the golden gales.
no, I
So,
did that before my save got corrupted. So I think the only thing I did when I got back was all the Kaku
Cuckoo
games.
games. So neither you guys found old Greggle.
Gregor.
So,
I know Hagel.
so y'all know how in the beginning of the game there was like a couple of people who were like, we traveled so far to get here for the Picori Festival.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a stranger living in town. That's literally what the game calls him when you try to do a kinstone fusion with him. It calls him Stranger, or like the Stranger. He's got like a red cone for a hat and like a blue jacket kind of thing going on. But you can fuse kinstones with him, and if you do, he gives you a teleporter right by Master Smith's house. Oh, if
Oh,
it
I want that.
sounds like a fever dream, it's because it kind of is. So you go into this teleporter and you end up in like a tower of some kind, and there's somebody blocking every exit because you're not allowed outside. Yeah, because outside is actually a later part of the game, but you don't know that yet. And so there's people blocking the exits, and they're all like, "Oh, we don't normally get visitors here. That's wild. Where'd you come from?" It's like the teleporter. It's like I don't know. Like I got warped here by somebody who dresses like y'all. And if you go up to one of the top floors of this tower, there is a person standing next to a bed, and there's somebody in the bed, and then there's like a ghost flying around the room, some kind of ill spirit, right? And this is Greggle, and old Greggle is sick, and so you can help him by sucking up the ghost in your gust jar, and then he rewards you with like 20 rupees, and that's all you can do right now. Is help old Greggle not be sick.
Oh wow.
That's great.
And it's so random, but this is what kinstones will do, man. They'll just send you to old Greggle. So that was a wild little side quest. There was also I fed Stockwell's dog. Got a free bottle. It was legit. Stockwell's got a cabin over by Lake Hylia. Stockwell being the the shop keep. But if you sneak
Oh, it's
in,
that dog.
yeah, if you sneak into if you talk to the dog, he's like, my owner hasn't, he doesn't come back nearly often enough. Like this dog is struggling. You go, you can sneak into the back of Stockwell's shop, and he's got a bottle full of dog food just chilling back there. And apparently, Link tells him that he doesn't actually want the dog food; he just wants the bottle. And he's like, "You just want the empty bottle? That's kind of strange." Well, you know what? You go feed my dog. You can keep the bottle. How does that sound? So you agree, and you go and you feed the dog. You get the bottle. It's a whole thing. I also spent some time in Simon Simulations. I don't know if either of you guys did any of that. It's one of the stores in the main section of town that has been locked up. It's right next to the shoe shop. But now you can go in there, and there is
Oh, it opened up finally.
yeah, there's a dude. Well, I guess it's Simon, right? Definitely got some mad scientist vibes. He's more of like a hypnotist kind of thing going on, but he's got a bed in the room with like diodes and a big induction coil across it. Because what he does is he hypnotizes you to fall asleep and then induces dreams based on your past experiences, which sounds like what games would normally use to do like a boss run or a boss rush,
Yeah.
right? But it's
Yeah.
not a boss rush. It's just a room full of enemies. You go to sleep, you wake up surrounded by like moblins and Keatons and stuff. And you can just fight them all for a reward. The cool thing about this is that because it's moblins and Keatons, a lot of these enemies are dropping kinstones as you fight them, so it's actually a really good way to farm green kinstones as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I did that a whole bunch.
Does it cost money to go into it?
Yeah, it's like 10 rupees to go in, but you can get rupees from the enemies you defeat as well. I actually
Nice.
ended up losing money because if a Keaton hits you, you drop a bunch of rupees.
Yeah.
And that was a little frustrating, but still cool. Sorry for this crazy fast rundown, but I have two more if you guys are willing
Also,
to listen.
I think that's. Yeah, I don't remember if it's that shop or another one, but I think I saw the kid with like the booger coming out of his nose standing outside of one of the shops.
Yeah,
So I just thought that was kind of
I've used kinstones with him, but I forgot what he actually did for me. Probably just opened up some path somewhere.
such an iconic character.
Yeah, he has a name in this game, but I did not write it down, so I'm sorry. I don't have it. All right, so two more here real quick before we get into the main quest. Somewhere out nearby Lon Lon Ranch, right? There's a Goron who was trying to dig his way into a cave. I ended up helping him get into the cave, and then he finds a wall that takes two Gorons. Like he literally finds like a wall where there's a square, like with a Goron face on it, and then another square with a Goron face on it, and he just starts digging away, and he's like, I don't know if I can actually get through here by myself. So he needs help. But now that we have the mole mitts, there's a very nearby cave where you can dig in, and there's a really odd symbol on the back wall. It's just like a little yin yang carved into the back wall. It's barely noticeable. It looks like one of the beans that the Picori planted that you can't actually water. Like, that's how subtle of a marking it
Gotcha.
is. But you can fuse kinstones with it.
Uh.
And when you do, a second Goron shows up and they dig through the wall. And so I went back into the cave to go see what they found through the wall, because I'm like, oh, this is exciting. We finally got the second Goron. He's through. This is amazing. Go into the next room. Now there are 2 Gorons on squares and 2 more squares for Gorons, and they're stuck at another wall. And I was like, why? I haven't solved the rest of that mystery yet. So now there's just 2 Gorons stuck. So there was almost no reward for it. It's just a thing you can do. I'm guessing there's got to be something good at the end, but I the way this game does rewards,
bunch of shells.
Yeah, it could just be mysterious shells. But there was one good reward that I got, and this was through the Tingle family. So turns out, I didn't know, I didn't remember this anyway, but David Jr. is not a member of the Tingle family. He's not related to Tingle or his brothers, which I thought was really interesting. I did a little bit of background check on this guy and checked out like his Wind Waker appearance. Apparently, he's not related to them then either. His story kind of goes along the lines of he got shipwrecked, and then found by Tingle. He woke up from the shipwreck in the Tingle clothing and forced to like do work at the lighthouse. It's like a whole thing. And I was like, this guy. So I guess in this game, Tingle has told him like, hey, just, fuse kinstones if somebody wants to fuse kinstones with you, and he just went along with it.
But they look so similar with like.
Oh, I know.
He's been adopted.
Yeah. And then the other thing in this game, David Jr. will tell you how many more kinstones you have to fuse, which is a really weird ability for him to have, but he does. I guess there's 100 total kinstone fusions to be had in the whole game.
Oh wow!
Aside from like main story ones, so like NPC kinstone fusions. I don't know where I'm at. I don't even think I've cracked the halfway point. So, it's a long list. I'm gonna see what I can do. I haven't been ignoring it. I've been running around fusing like crazy man. So, I don't know if I'm gonna. I just don't know if I'm gonna get through it by the end of the game. By the end of this recording sesh. You know what I mean?
That's a lot of NPCs to fuse with.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, sometimes it's just a dot on the wall,
Yeah, right.
Too many.
Oh, goodness. But I did find David Jr. was one of the ones I'd already fused with, but I found the 4th Tingle. And by Tingle, I mean they all have different names. It's like Knuckle and something else. I think the one I found this time was Knuckle. And he opened up that last of 4 trees just south of the castle. And I was able to get the big reward in the middle, which is a magical boomerang.
Ooh.
So if you bought the boomerang from the shop, I'm sorry, you don't need that. This makes it obsolete, and you get it via a bunch of kinstone fusions. But the magical boomerang, when you throw it, if you hold down the button you threw it with, instead of like letting go immediately, if you just hold it down, your direction, like your D-pad, now controls the boomerang for a little bit. So you can like curve it around environmental things, or if you throw it and you're not perfectly lined up, you can just kind of curve it to the left and hit what you were actually going for anyway. It's pretty much the ultimate boomerang.
This is the tool that we need to defeat Vati.
Yeah, right.
Perhaps.
That's pretty sick. Yeah. That's probably the best reward from any kinstone in the game, I'd imagine.
I mean, it's the best reward I've ever experienced through kinstones, so I would agree with that, but I also don't actually know.
Fair enough.
But that's what I did.
Like
those are all my side quests that I ran into while I was searching for the critical path. What's up?
Imagine you're Tingle though. Like put yourself in Tingle's shoes for a second, and
Ugh.
you have a brother, and you have this whole thing. You have a shtick, and you're Tingle, and you're just like you got your fairy shtick, and like you're doing your thing, and then some random dude who somehow just looks like he's your birth brother. You have no clue how or why, but he just looks like you, and just comes by and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna like kind of be here and chill and dress like you if you don't mind, if that's cool with you." And then Tingle's just like, "Yeah, no, that's fine." Like, imagine you're Tingle, some random guy who looks like your birth brother, identical to you and your brother. Just wild.
Yeah,
Meant to be.
That's the Zelda way,
it's strange.
right?
Tingle's a bothersome character for so many reasons.
Gotta save space on those cartridges.
I mean, listen, if it was just Majora's Mask, I would probably feel a lot different about him. But because of what they did to him in Wind Waker and in this game, it's like, guys, you're turning him into the villain. I don't understand. David Jr.'s got Stockholm syndrome. Like, what is happening? But yeah, let's talk about Critical Pack. Cam, you said you found it immediately. Anthony, you said you looked at your map and realized at some point. I
Yeah.
walked by this stinking Windcrest so many times, like, and might have even like noticed it and been like, "Huh, there's a Windcrest up there, but how do I get up there?" Because in my brain, I've said every other Windcrest we had to find and unlock for it to be usable.
It's true.
So it never like clicked in my head that this one was already unlocked. And now that we had the
Yeah.
ocarina, we could just go there and it was fine. Um, I for sure I recognize the symbol as I need to unlock that somehow, but I don't know how to get up there. so so because of that, I wandered everywhere else looking for some other NPC, and eventually I was like, all right, I've done so many side quests, let me just figure out what I'm supposed to do. So I started like using my select power to talk to Ezlo. So Ezlo, the first couple times you talk to him, he says the same thing that he says when you start up the game. And he's like, "Oh, like we're supposed to find our way like to the next dungeon near Lake Hylia. I wonder who could help us with something like that." Which is not helpful because if someone's going to help us, my brain is like, "Well, that's probably an NPC who talks, right?" And
Yeah.
after pressing select like 2 or 3 times in a row, he then says, "Hey, it's so great that we have Zephyr. All we have to do is press the ocarina and then we get to go." And I was like, "What?" And then I went into my map then and saw that there was already a Windcrest at Lake Hylia. And I was like, "But I didn't unlock one there." And then I fly there and I'm like, "Oh, it's this. Okay." Cool. So it's
It's
just like a facepalm moment of like, are you serious? Like,
It's funny that the fact that you
I
were
had that
so
same
much
feeling.
more knowledgeable about it is why it took you longer to find it. Because I've been in that situation where you know the situation so much that you're like, I need to do this thing before I can continue. But the game kind of already does it for you because they just want you to continue anyways.
yeah,
I didn't remember at all getting it there, but I also didn't really remember the Lake Hylia area at all. So I'm like, I'm just gonna fly over there and see what needs to happen. And it just put me in the right spot, and I was like, oh, okay. But I bet if I would have went over there, I probably would have went through the same thing you did. Like I got to unlock that because I obviously haven't got up there. I don't even know how I would get up there.
yeah,
And I might have fallen into the same thing, but because I had no clue, I just found it by dumb luck.
yeah. And the wild thing about this is that getting up there, all it does for you is it opens the library. So the whole time, like I knew from previously playing that I had to go do something with the library. I'm like, this library's been closed this whole time. There's been an old man standing out front saying, "Oh, when are they going to open? When are they going to open?" I'm like, if you just moved out of the doorway, they'd probably open. Like, come on, dude. Um, and so that was part of what I was trying to figure out was like, how do I, like, why is it not open yet? And you fly up onto this little plateau in Lake Hylia where you can't actually leave the plateau. Like you have to, like, it's surrounded by impassable mushrooms or whatever. And it's got
On the left side, you can jump down, but you can't get up.
right. Okay. So it's not getting you any closer to the temple. Like it's not doing
No.
anything like that. But you go into the little building and there's a Minish inside who says, "Oh, you're trying to get into the Temple of Droplets? Well, only person I know who's ever been in there lives in the library now. His name is literally just library." Um, and he's like, "So maybe he can help you out." So then after you're done talking to him, you go back to town and the library's open. And I was so mad because I'm like, guys, like, you barred this behind an NPC interaction that was held behind a Zephyr flight. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is you could have
I
just
feel
you could have
like
just
they
been like, you got the ocarina and that was the trigger for the library to open. Like,
could
why
have.
did we do this?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, why didn't they just once you got the ocarina at the Fortress of Winds, Ezlo's like, "Well, now that that's all over with, why don't we go into town and check up and maybe the city, like, the town Minish know what we could do next, or the town Picori."
Right,
And I was like, they could have just relegated that whole part out by just, like, having Ezlo say something like that right at the top of the Fortress of Winds, like, "Why don't we use this ocarina to go back to town? Da da da, library's open." But no.
right. But no, none of that. None of that.
Yeah,
We had
it's a
to.
thing that happened a lot in old video games where you'd have just one random NPC you'd have to hunt down to trigger the event to continue from just to continue doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
It's a big thing used to be in gaming way back. It was really bad on the PlayStation 1, like back in those days.
And, like, even still, like, they could have just hinted at you going back to town and not even knowing the library was open. Like, it could
Yeah.
just been like, as I was like, "Go back to town and find some town Minish," and you could have still had, like, an adventure to find, like, "Oh, like, where in town do I have to go?" No, they make you go somewhere so random and then point you back to town, which you probably already, like, flew to town first anyway
Yeah.
to do whatever, because that's, like, normally where you go, and then they're like, "No, no, go over here." Like, that I had to go over there because when I didn't even notice it the first time I flew, like, to the town. I flew to town first, I didn't even notice it, and then I'm doing all this stuff and all these side quests, and then I'm opening up Kinstone fusions, and then I was like, "Hmm," after I've done all these Kinstone fusions, let me go out of town. I think I opened, like, a few Kinstone fusions over in Castor Wilds,
Yeah.
and I think there was, like, a few over in Minish Woods, and I was like, "Hmm, I'm gonna go fly over Castor Wilds, and I'm gonna go take care of those Kinstone fusion places that I, like, unlocked and gonna go do
Right.
those." And then the second time I opened my map, I was like, "I've never been up in the top right. What the heck is that?" And then that's when I realized, like, I flew there, and I was like, when was I here?"
You weren't. That's the thing.
Right. I was just super confused, like, and I had to look it up, like, why was that there? Did my game glitch? And it's like, "No, that's, like, critical, like, it's supposed to happen." I was like, "But why?" I didn't even know.
Yeah. It's just already unlocked for you. You've had to unlock all the others, but not that one. It's just it is what it is, man. I don't.
Everyone gets one.
So so we get a job at the library. No, we go into the library. What's cool is that upstairs is Sturgeon, who is a reoccurring character from the Wind Waker. They really love the Wind Waker in this game. Sturgeon was like the wise old dude who lived upstairs from Orca, on Outset Island. Like one of the Orca's like the dude you do the sword fighting challenges with in Wind Waker. But Sturgeon is the guy who gives you like your opening tutorial of like how to press buttons and do stuff like Z target. So he's back just chilling in the library. He's a crazy old man now because he's like, I've seen these books moving on their own. Um, which he definitely is seeing, but it's just funny that that's who he is in this game. It's just the dude shouting at books. But if you try to, go Minish and go into the bookshelf, there's one guy who's like, hey, we can't actually get to library anymore because we're missing books that we used to use to get up there. So we got to get those books back. Maybe the librarians up front will know something. So we go back, talk to librarians. And the one who, lo and behold, the one who handles the returns has 3 overdue books for us to go hunt down. The first of which is a Hyrulean bestiary who was signed out to someone with a new cat. So this is our first book retrieval mission, and we're going to seek out Julietta, who is currently apparently on a house date with I mean, her name is Julietta. I didn't check what the guy's name was, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was some odd version of Romeo, because they just talking, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not. My cat's over in my house, but I'm not there clearly."
And, like, the thing that gets me is, like, you have a member of the library at your house. You have the library police. I mean, Link might be short, but this kid is carrying a sword and whatever other, like, gear you have on your B targeting or A targeting, however you do that. So you have a kid with weapons in your boyfriend's, fiance's, whatever you wanna call this, associate house, and you have him asking for this who knows how long overdue library book, and all she has to say is, "Yeah, but I can't leave right now, so you're gonna have to go get it." And then you try to be
Right.
like, "Well, why can't you leave?" She's like, I just can't. I, like, physically, I cannot. Like, I just can't." And she gives you no reason why. I'm just like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
Ugh. Grinded my gears.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah. So we go Minish. We do a little house to house obstacle course. Nothing too
Put out a
crazy.
fire.
Yeah, if you haven't put out the fire already, put out the fire, because I've been through this house before. I don't know why, just exploring, but yeah, gotta put out the fires to go through the chimneys to do all the things. The dog is super friendly in the boys' house, but then you go over to the girls' house and that cat wants to straight up eat a Minish. So you you gotta step carefully. This is the episode we're gonna find the cat experiences, I feel like. Uh, but we can go ahead and get that library book. Yeah. We
Yeah,
gotta
we
like
push it. We
push
push it off a top of a bookshelf.
right. Because in this game, dashing into the bookshelf does not work. It's actually funny because you go into the room with the cat as a regular sized person, and Ezlo's like, "Oh, the book's all the way up there. How are we gonna solve this predicament? If only there was a way." Which is almost, to me, felt like he was like making fun of A Link to the Past in a way, when you have to like get the Book of Medora off the top of a bookshelf by charging into it.
Mhm.
So I tried
Yeah,
that first. I tried charging into it and it did not work. So
we
so
get
we
some bad advice later too.
oh, do we?
Yeah, yeah. We get later. We get advice that literally says if you have a problem you can't solve, just run into it. Bam.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
work
yeah.
earlier though. Actually, I was told not to do that.
Right. So we get this book back, and the librarian is super pleased with us, and she tells us that the next book is The Legend of Picori, signed out by one Dr. Left. So
Oh,
Yep, yep, Dr. Left. Uh
oh.
so this is a minor spoiler if we want to talk about it. I don't know how much. I'm not even gonna put a timestamp on this. It's just a character name. If you are lucky enough to be someone who's been playing the newest addition to the Legend of Zelda series, Echoes of Wisdom, you might recognize the name Minister Left. Uh, and it's like a subtle callback to this character because they're both bookish types. But this Dr. Left has not given us the time of day. Any other time you try to go into his house before this, he's like, "Can't you see I'm busy? Like, go away. Like, I need to focus on my studies, right?" This time when you go to his house, he's like, I knew this day would come. Go ahead and come on in. And you go inside and you ask him about the book. And he's like, well, I'm sure it's here somewhere, but I'm much too busy to look for it right now. So just go ahead and look around yourself and see if you can find it. I'm like, sir, this cannot be. This cannot. But
These people.
he's actually the starting point to a Picori legend of sorts. I really wish I had written down this legend. But in one of the town minish holes in one of these houses, I don't think it's his house, it might be, but one of the minish will tell you like, oh, there's this like prophesied journey that goes across the river and past some monsters and
Some
into a cave.
beasts.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
It is his house that it's in, by the way.
Gotcha. And he's like, I wonder if the legends are true, like I've never tried to go myself or whatever. So now that we can actually access the house, we can put out the flyer in his room, which lets us go on this fantastic journey.
Firefighter Link.
Yeah. So we go over to the construction worker's house to become Minish, make our way through the yard into Dr. Left's house. Now that the fire's out, we can go up the top and start making this journey. It involves running past some cats who want to eat Link. There's actually like a couple scared Picori that are like there's the one that was afraid to leave the house and even try. There's the one that you get to right before the cats who's like, I'm too scared, I can't go any further. And then there's Link who doesn't care. He's going for it. So
he's got like 8 hearts. He's fine.
Right? I got swatted a few times. It was alright.
Same. Yeah. I did it flawlessly down, but on my way back, the cat that was just sitting waiting for me to come up the ladder just would not, or climb the vine or whatever it was.
Right.
Wasn't playing ball that second time.
Yeah. So yeah, we get past these cats and we climb down, and there's like a little built-in cave by the fountain. Yeah. We go into the cave, fight some slugs, fight some of these like boomerang scorpion things.
The power beat.
Those were later, the beetles.
The beetles? What did we fight for this then? Wasn't there a
It
boss?
was just the Tokyo Drift. Yeah, we fought the drifters.
Oh. All right.
They
cool.
love to put drifters.
Yeah, just like getting
when
the
there's
bow.
new items. Right.
So
What
sorry,
is it? I don't know
jumped
what the
ahead.
fascination is with drifters and items, but it's their thing.
Yeah. So we fight some mulldozers, the blue kind, the problematic, like
Yes,
always
they never stop moving.
And we get ourselves some power bracelets
that even work when we're tiny.
Right? Even someone as small as you can move heavy objects, and nobody's gonna notice because they're too busy in their studies. But yeah, we get these power bracelets. We can use them in, like, if you actually unlock the second house, it's on this pathway as well, so you can use them in there to get to another Kinstone fusion. But we can take them back to Dr. Left's house and align the bookshelves as a Minish,
which is crazy. Seeing the little ant of a Link moving like a full-size bookcase like it's nothing. Like, oh.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the guy's just so into his research, he doesn't notice any of this happening. So
yeah, right.
So we climb up the hidden staircase and we get up into the rafters, and there's just Minish having fun with books up there in the rafters. How did the other Minish get the books up there? I have no idea. But there's one who's just reading up, and I thought that book was the book I needed at first, but she was like, oh, this guy's got great taste in books. I could just sit here and read all day. And then you go over, and there's a book hanging off a rafter, and a Minish just like jumping on it, trying to make it fall. And he's like, oh yeah, like I've been trying to get this thing out of the rafters, like, but trying to get my brother to help, but he's too busy reading over there. If only I had more weight. So you can try to add some weight, and it won't work unless you do a little bit of cleaning up in the rafters. And
Which another Picor does actually tell you about.
right, she's like,
Like, "It's
maybe I should
dirty up
clean
here. We
up.
should clean up."
So if you do that, you'll find some duplicator tiles that you can stand on in order to make a clone link to get more weight and go help this guy knock the book off the rafters. He is skilled enough to jump back onto the rafters before falling down with the book, but Link is not. Link goes down with the ship. So I thought this was like such a weird premise to just, to just have a dude be like, I want to make this thing fall while I'm immediately on top of it, but I need help. So let's just get a bunch of people on this because this is clearly the best way to knock this book off the rafters.
Funny too that Link also just got the power bracelet, so you think that we could get behind the book and just push it off,
Right?
but nah.
Not a thing. It's not what we're here to do. We're here to participate in the nonsense.
This part actually kind of annoyed me a tiny bit because I did the duplicator thing, but I was too careful trying to get over to the book like 3 times in a row and I ran out of time. But I
Oh,
didn't realize I was running out of time because I kept getting to the same point on the book and then my guy just disappeared. So I thought I like wasn't allowed to stand on the book like that and kind of got slipped up for a few minutes until I until I did it again and did it faster and realized that my time was running out.
oh, gotcha.
So I got bamboozled.
Huh. I can definitely see that happening. I probably messed up once or twice just knocking my clone into a wall.
That's what I was trying to avoid, going slow.
Right. But eventually I got it just fine. Like I didn't really struggle too much. Once I found the duplicator, I was like, oh, I get what I'm supposed to do. But then again, I also know about the time limit thing, um, so I wasn't confused like that about it. So
Yeah, I don't even know if I was aware until this point that there was a time limit on it because I never needed the time limit. It never exceeded before.
right, right, I gotcha.
And that's how we get our second book.
Yeah, that's like the most. Well, I don't even know if I want to say it's the. I guess it's the most involved one. But yeah, we get that back, and the librarian straight up refers to us as like the hero of the library. He's like, you're basically our savior for getting the second book back. Like I don't understand. Like we were so destitute and incapable without you. I'm like, you need to chill. It's just a book. You could have just walked down to their house like and asked for it. But I guess I understand what you're saying.
That's too much work.
And so the last one. Uh, the last book we need is A History of Masks that was signed out by Mayor Hagen,
The mayor himself can't even return a library book.
right? And also doesn't give you any hints either. Like I mean, he does, but at the same time, it's like a tongue in cheek, like, oh, I'm not telling you what's going on. Like you go and talk to him and he's like, oh, a library book? Oh, I don't know anything about that, but maybe you should like ask the masks in this room. Like, and it's like, dude, what are you like? What does that even mean? But really, that's the game's way of saying, like, hey, if you knock the masks off the wall, you can go talk to the Picori upstairs. And if you do that, the Picori will tell you, oh, yeah, that's, Mayor Hagen. I saw him run off into the woods with a book and return without it. I'm pretty sure he has a cabin out there. So maybe, he left the book out there too. Like, he basically just turns the dude in, right?
Friggin' mayor takes a book out of the library, goes to his second house, and then just leaves it there.
Right?
And then doesn't remember that he took the book out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he remembered. I think he should have lied to us. Like I think he wanted to keep the book.
Book? What? I don't start sweating. I don't know anything about that book. What do you masks? Go talk to the
I
masks.
got nothing. Just talk to them masks,
Bad PR for a mayor to not return library books.
Right? So we go through the Minish Woods once again. And this is a path I had already taken before in my whole um NPC like side questing stuff that I'd been doing. So I had already been through all of it. Like I had gone all the way into the house. Like I had smashed the tree and all that. Um, that's a little bit ahead of the game, but in the Minish Woods there is a mole mitts cave that you can dig through in order to get to Mayor Hagen's cabin. Once you do, there's a bunch of water, like knee deep water, or yeah, the shallow stuff that you just can't go into as a Picori. And a tree behind his house. And if you go into his house, that's where you get that crazy message, like if you got a problem, just run headlong into it. And it's like, excuse me, sir.
And
Like, what does that mean?
it even says "bam" with an exclamation mark.
Right. And so the hint that you're being given is that the sparkly tree behind the house is actually like a Minish stump, but not until you run into it and destroy it, I guess.
I thought this was silly.
Yeah, you're gonna dash into it and destroy the tree. There's one of these trees, just as a side note, there's a couple of these trees on the map, I think, as well. One of which is like in Lon Lon Ranch. So if you want to go talk to cows, that's how you do it. You gotta go smash that tree.
I think there's another one south of or southeast of Hyrule. No, southwest. Yeah. So when I was trying to get over to the Castor Wilds before, I found an area that had one of these trees, and I'm like, it has the same sparkles as one of the Minish transformation spots, but I couldn't get it to activate. And it was also before I got the boots, but I probably wouldn't even have tried the boots anyways.
Yeah,
I
because you
think I tried
wouldn't.
putting bombs on it.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that running into a tree would just destroy the tree, especially not after playing A Link to the Past. You know, like at most something might fall out, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's one of these outside of the castle, like in the castle gardens as well. But that's all I can remember right now. Anyway, we destroy this tree with the wonderful advice that we're given. And now we can walk into the house and find our last book, which I believe involves some more bookshelf puzzles type stuff. Uh, like pushing around bookcases and all that.
We can't even walk back into the house, though. We have to take the weird lily pad ride out the back.
Right.
Mhm.
You got to use the lily pad with the gust jar to get like across the stream. And then once you're inside, there's another little lily pad that just does like a half circle around a little indoor fountain that he has for apparently for cooling masks. I don't know how that all plays out. But he's clearly like making masks in this room. You can see like half faces sitting on the shelves that are in the bookshelves that he has in there. They're not actually bookshelves; they're like kiln shelves or something.
Display cabinets.
Yeah. Um. So his cabin is like a workshop for his masks. So he's just super into masks, man. He's like,
Very sketch.
Is that the Happy Mask Haggle?
right, happy mask salesman with a wig on or something. The happy mask mayor.
Yes.
But we knock the book down, we go back out, get big, come back in, pick up our book, and be on our merry way. And so we have every book now back to the library, and we can go meet the man library himself.
I want to say something before we go up there. This is our last stop in the library.
Yeah.
Uh, on your stream, you had discovered there's like this little like thing in the front. It's like a little magazine like thing that says this week's top titles, and then it gives you 3 books that are like the top titles of the Hyrule Library.
Oh
And I
yeah,
just thought the titles were hilarious. I
they
looked at
are.
them in my game. It's number 3 is Learn to Like Your a good guide to a bad pet. Number 2 is
Yeah.
Gorman's Guide to Good Grub, because apparently he's in the food industry and the renting business.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then number 1 is Married to the Moblin, which I'm assuming is like a Good Luck Chuck or like just rom-com type thing.
Well, here we go again, guys, with the references. So, in the Wind Waker, because they're all Wind Waker references, I don't know why. Um, there is this character who you rescue from the Forbidden Fortress, right? The second time you go, you rescue a bunch of people. Spoiler. Sorry if you've never played the game. Just throwing it out there. And one of them, while they were in this like dark Ganondorf like owned fortress, apparently sprung into some kind of relationship with a moblin named Mo. And so this character, I don't even remember what the mission involves. I'm pretty sure it's like a letter in a bottle type stuff. Um, but eventually, you're able to continue their correspondence in a way where it seems as though like they're gonna try to continue their courtship. This random kidnapped girl and a moblin named Mo. So married to the moblin, I'm pretty sure is like another wild reference
If the
to
Moblin's
Wind
name is
Waker.
Mo, is her name Krill?
Oh
Oh god.
gosh. In that game, who knows? I'm not gonna look up Mo the Moblin. It's gonna tell me what her name was.
Apparently, there's also a movie from 1988, which I've never seen. It's an Alec Baldwin and Michelle Pfeiffer movie called Married to the Mob.
Oh. All right. So the girl's name was Maggie, kind of like McGinnis. Um, and Mo liked her enough to give her many skull necklaces,
Aw.
and that's how they became rich. Sorry. So she was part of a poor family before she went to the fortress, but came back with a whole bounty of skull necklaces, and they became wealthy. Yeah.
Also, when you said Gorman's top cookbook of grub, I immediately thought, where's the octo sauce?
Oh no.
It's bloody raw.
I get it. I get it. Oh gosh. Okay.
It wasn't that bad.
I'm just trying to remember in my head the name of that chef.
What, Gordon Ramsay's?
It is Gordon Ramsay,
Yeah, so
which is like
Gorman
a
remind me
lot
of
like
Gordon.
Gorman, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought of it.
Sorry, the name I had Gordon in my head, but I was like, what's his other name? Like, what's like the Ramsey part was lost, and I was like, for some reason, got so stuck on that. But that was wow. All right, there it is.
We
It's
did
all coming together. We figured it out.
it.
All the
God,
book names make sense now.
the Air Gorman ones.
Does the learn to like your like a good guide to a bad pet make sense?
Yeah, because it's just a joke about the name like.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering if there's like something else.
I don't think so. I think they just would be bad pets, but also they're called like likes. Like I think the joke is enough. It's pretty fantastic.
You want your pet to steal things from you every time you interact with it? Get a like.
You want to not be able to leave the house because there's a like literally in your doorway that just eats you.
Spits you out and tells you to stay in the house.
takes takes your special tunics away.
Oh no. I just bought that shield. Where'd it go? No, we got all the books now.
Yeah. So we can climb the bookshelf as a Minish and go talk to library or
I
library.
thought of him
I don't
as
know.
library because I didn't want to think of him as library.
Same.
Right. But clearly that was the point of his name, right?
Yes.
We have Bellari over in the forest, we have Malari over in the mountain, and now we have Library in the bookshelf. Literally living in like a carved out book. Like he's in the book, but they've ripped pages conveniently to make a little room.
Yeah, and like what if someday some customer of the library just so happens to just take that book? Cuz like, I want to
Right.
take out the
That's
like they're going to
cataclysm.
discover like a
Just
little like
gone.
minish home just chilling.
They get the whole library.
Oh gosh. So clearly the maintenance on this library is not great because that never happens ever.
And so, like, what does my guy do after we finally reconnected him with civilization after he almost got lonely?
Oh,
What's he do?
my dude. He frustrated me so much because he had a Kinstone fusion available, but I was like, oh, I'll just do it after I'm done talking to him. Nope.
Rat door
My dude's like,
in a
oh,
book.
so you want to go to the droplets, eh? Pull the lever, Kronk. Just,
Imagine how intricate it has
oh,
to be, too. You're
gosh.
dropping out of a book, through a bookcase, down through presumably the entire
Other
first floor
books,
of the
yeah.
library, down into the ground. Like, it's not even the bottom shelf of the one he's on. Yeah, you gotta drop down into another book, down through the floor, through the first floor, into a cave.
I
How did they
can't.
pull that one off?
I can't imagine the directive he must have given to the 2 other library minish that exist to be like, oh yes, I want a tunnel dug from here, from my room here, the 4-leaf clover, that just goes all the way to the fountain sewer system. It's like,
Yes.
sir, are you sure? Yeah, absolutely. Cut through all the books, cut through all the shelves, cut through all the floors, through the dirt, get there. I don't care what it takes. We got kids to kill, you know? Yo.
We got trials to have.
So he sends us to the slug dimension.
He does.
And
And this is where we fight those beetles with the
right.
boomerang mouths.
The
Yeah,
scissor beetles.
the scissor beetles. And from this one, we get Librari's secret method to entering the Temple of Droplets, which is a pair of Zora flippers.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think they're called Zora flippers. Maybe they are called Zora flippers in this game. I'm not
I
sure.
think they're just flippers.
Yeah, they're
Right.
flips.
But man, that would have been really confusing if they did that and didn't have any Zoras in the game. Just like
Yes, it would have.
like
Wait, the who's now?
the what?
Who is Zora?
But these are just flippers.
And
And
now we can swim and we can dive too.
right?
Ooh.
And so we fight our way back out of this awful fountain with our wonderful flippers. And now we have the ability to go just about anywhere we want in water. It opens a lot more paths. You can go back to the forest and see a bunch of cool new things. You can go I mean, that's pretty much the biggest one. It's somewhere between Lake Hylia and the Minish Woods. There's like a new way to travel around there that just makes things way more convenient. But it also does allow us to hit the Temple of Droplets, which I have not gone inside yet, but that is our finish line. So, what's
I
up?
got
There's
inside
also
and then saved right
something
away.
outside of I think it's like was it like southeast of Lake Hylia? You need the flippers to get there, but there's another one of the sword blade temples,
Oh yeah,
and you can talk to him. I think it was Waveblade.
yes,
Waveblade.
Wave
And
Blade.
he teaches you.
It's a desperate strike, a desperation
No, it was like
beam or something like that.
plasma something. Hold on, let me look it up. It was like the thing that you shoot the beam out of your sword.
Right. Hold on. It's the
Man,
peril beam.
that's quite a step up from we've been learning how to spin in a circle with our sword out. We learned how to just hold our sword out in front of us while we're running. Now we're learning how to shoot mystical beams out of it. It's a little bit of a step up.
Yeah. So yeah, Waveblade teaches you the peril beam, which is basically it's actually the design looks like it's entirely based off of the original Legend of Zelda because you swing your sword and it looks like a little laser dagger comes flying out the front of it, but it only works when you're down to your last like quarter of a heart. So
Oh,
you
Whereas the
need to
first game,
yeah,
it was like full health.
yeah, first
yeah.
yeah, in the Legend of Zelda you had to be full health, but this one it's like it only works if you're literally about to die. Which isn't great. Like I don't know what the use case is for this because when are we gonna be that precise with our health value? But that's it. That's where it is. So
I guess it's kind of just a buff to keep you from dying if you're like on the door.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Could
yeah.
have used it last dungeon. against those darn skellies.
Jumping around.
Right. But this is all very exciting stuff. I mean, we're about to make our way into our next dungeon, so that'll be next episode. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna go ahead and close this one out.
Put a bow on it.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me, bruh.
Cool. Well, thank you all for listening to A4NB4Y. This has been our run up to the Temple of Droplets, and next episode we will be entering the Temple of Droplets. So be on the lookout for that. So we'll catch you guys next time on A4NB4Yes.
Do we get to fight a droplet?
You gotta fight a droplet.
Because
Do
if we
you
don't, I'm
wanna
gonna be
fight a
sad.
droplet?
If I'm not fighting a droplet, I'm gonna be mad.
Well, prepare to be angry. Did you get all that?